ETF inflows so far this month have been 450 million, which is also indicating interest in the commodities. But I wanted to talk more, just an overview about where I think things might be going in the next 12 months or so and beyond. And it really is about the move to energy efficiency and the environment. The reason the copper price spiked was that the Chinese government closed one copper producer looking to improve the environmental conditions in the area. So the environment is becoming important. I think we're going to see a transition to a low carbon energy market, and I think the beneficiaries of that are going to be oil and gas. And I think we're going to see that move up in the next 12 months. And I think the other beneficiary is going to continue to be the electric vehicles and storage. And I think you'll see lithium and graphite and rare earths and copper. And ultimately, longer term, I think we'll also see nuclear energy restart its growth. China's currently building somewhere around 38 nuclear reactors. And whilst no one expects the Japanese to reignite the 50 odd that they had working before, the expectation is that 30 of those will restart. So I think you're going to see interest in uranium. So what I thought I'd do is show you a couple of junior oil and gas producers. These are Central Petroleum and Buru Energy. Buru Energy operates in Western Australia. You look at that and you think, well, God knows it's just a dog's breakfast. Buru's gone up a lot and Central Petroleum hasn't gone up a lot, so maybe I should buy one and sell the other. But if you go back and look at the slightly longer historical trend, you can see that certainly in this case, Central Petroleum is trading well off its highs. It was around 50 cents. It's come down. When it was 50 cents, it had just acquired some producing assets in Central Australia. You see a little peak there, or a little plateau late last year around 20 cents. That was when Macquarie Group bid effectively a touch over 20 cents a share for the stock. The shareholders didn't accept the takeover, the scheme of arrangement, the takeover, and the share price subsequently fell. They did a rights issue and placement at 10 cents. We're still trading below that now, around 9 cents. What does Central Petroleum do if the wheel works? Which it doesn't. Yep, I do have some more slides there. Oh, there we go. There we go. How did it get to this point? It's currently got a market cap of about $64 million. They bought the Central Australian stranded gas assets, and they've actually got the physical structures in place to produce 75 terajoules a day, 29 petajoules. They've been mothballed, they need to be reworked, but those assets are in place. As I said, Macquarie made a bid for them in November. They completed a small supply contract with EDL, which now means that their operations are cash flow positive. Doesn't cover their exploration, doesn't cover their corporate costs, but they're making money, they're developing operations, they're employing local people. And that's where they are. You can see Alice Springs over on the right, the train line there, Mereenie over to the west, Palm Valley, little gas field in the middle, and Dingo just due south of Alice Springs, and a target Ducas down at the bottom of the screen. Why do I like them? Well, they've got a very strong and experienced board. Richard Coddy, who many of you might know, I followed at QGC as the managing director, and Richard's a force of nature. So some of the recent appointees, and they are recent in the last 6 months since the takeover got opposed by the shareholders. Martin Crewalt. Martin's a very strong corporate animal. He is a lawyer. He was a director of Oil Search from the time they were an explorer through to when they became a major producer in Papua New Guinea. So he's seen this before. Sarah Ryan, Dr. Sarah Ryan, female geologist, 15 years with Schlumberger. She actually worked on some of the Mereenie wells all those years ago. Director of Oil Search as well. Timothy Woodall is not a geologist, although his father was, and he worked for Oil Search he worked for Woodside when they made the move on Oil Search a number of years ago, recognised the potential of the Oil Search assets. They didn't go through with the acquisition and ended up selling out. But Tim's got a very strong background in oil and gas and in growing and developing oil and gas producers. And Rixen Gastine, who's also a geologist and an equity markets private equity investor. They've got positive EBITDA now from their operations. They've got $25 million in cash, which is going to fund their exploration. And the exploration is largely of brownfields. It's known gas, which they're going to drill to increase their resource base and get into the market through the Northern Gas Pipeline, which is now about 2/3 built, expected to be completed and commissioned in the fourth quarter of 2018, which will expose their gas to the East Coast gas market. And further out in the first quarter of 2019, Santos is going to drill this well, Ducas, which is a sub-salt play. That purple colour is a salt which forms a seal, and underneath it there's this very large structure. Central Petroleum gets carried through that, but it's a potentially transformational exploration play, but they're cheap on their production and the reserves which they have. And we know that Coddy's going to make money monetising these through the East Coast gas system. So I really do like Central Petroleum at these levels. I think there's sort of good steady upside based on what they've got and potential for an order of magnitude change based on success in Ducas, which admittedly is 12 months away. The other one is Buru Energy, which operates in Western Australia, and you can see that that's come down a long way from $1.20, got down into the 20-cent range. It's now actually did a placement at 15, a rights issue, sorry, and it's now come up to about 30. They're producing oil from Ungani in the Canning Basin in Western Australia. Currently, profit margins about $25–30 a barrel. They're shipping it, or they're road freighting it up to Wyndham. If they can get it out through the port of Broome or Derby, they'll add about $20 a barrel to their margin, which should take it close to $50 Australian a barrel. They're aiming to move to 3,000 barrels a day. They've just drilled, and there's their little program. They've just drilled a hole Ungani 5, and they've hit 97 metres of gross pay, got oil shows and gas, don't have any logging yet, but it looks like it's certainly going to produce the resources or reserves of 3 million barrels, which will let them increase production. That's some more stuff about what they're going to do and when. And of course, like every other decent oil explorer, they've got another target. This is an Ungani lookalike. It's the same structure. It's a long trend from it, and it's about 16 times the size. So, you know, another potential game changer for them. They also have a lot of gas, which could go into the West Australian market. That's the broader cross-section of the Canning Basin with all their various targets on it. So there's an awful lot for them to do over time. And for those of you who are worried about the environment, I just thought I'd show you a picture of what Huntington Beach, California looked like in 1932, and it wasn't really terribly environmentally sweet. You can see all the derricks there, but there were still people enjoying the beach, and that's Huntington Beach today. The derricks have all gone, been replaced, and the beach is as good as it ever was. So, you know, mining does rehabilitate, and the land does go back to being enjoyable and useful. And just finally, I didn't think I could go too far without commenting on Vimy, uranium. I do think that we're going to see interest in the uranium stocks, and this is Vimy. It was down to about 10 or 11 cents. It's now 16 cents. I think that we've seen the lows here as they move through to financing completion of the funding for the development of the Mulga Rock project in Western Australia. And I urge anyone who's thinking about green energy to have a look at VMI, VMY. That's it from me.